tells us that's a maximum amount that we can levy, is what comes out of the revenue limit worksheet. Next year is when you find out what people actually levy, is the thing. So like right now, I could go and most, I believe, I'm gonna go on a limb here and say most districts right now with waste heat funding is, they follow whatever that revenue limit worksheet. It's a limit after all. So I think most do that. So you could get it real quickly here. But that's a lot of work. So I'd wait and get it from the state of Wisconsin. Otherwise, you're literally going through
Yeah, you
every
go through each
400 and some odd school districts that we
Yeah.
have. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Finance, Ryan, you wanna give us a preliminary budget.
Sure, an updated one. So I put handouts on your table, John, you probably have,
Right.
Jim probably have two of them, one from last meeting. This one won't cover as much stuff because we're gonna see the exact same thing in detail again in 2 weeks, so I'm gonna just go over kind of what's changed since 2 weeks ago, because we've had a lot change with, just our headcounts with kids and stuff. So this is the version that'll go in the paper. It's gonna get published on the 18th and 25th of October. The purpose of updating it is so the taxpayers have the most current information. And it's possible that what is in the paper isn't even what you guys approve as the final budget, but it'll be a lot closer than it was 2 weeks ago now that we have some head count figures. So just some notes that we have on here. It's updated to reflect third Friday count. That's the head count, the membership, open enrollments in and open enrollments out. The equalized value, transfer of service costs and voucher costs are not yet populated by DPI in the revenue limit worksheet. The equalized valuation was supposed to be put in there today, but it wasn't in there as of this afternoon. But we have a number that we're using from there. I think it's 592 or 595 million. This does include previously discussed health and dental insurance increases, CPI increase of 2.13%, and some other wage increases that are actually outside of CPI. And then the note at the bottom, the next meeting will have a lot more in-depth information. It'll have our annual meeting PowerPoint, and that is really the one that has the bulk of the information. So the first page, I'm just going to touch on the numbers that I have highlighted on there. So item 1, that would be our fund balance at the end of this fiscal year if the budget were to play out. So we're budgeting to have 3.7 million. Our deficit is 45,597. Last meeting it was at 72,000, so it's a little bit better.
That deficit's not including any wages increases, right?
Oh yeah, all of it.
It is including that.
Yeah, everything that we talked about.
Item number 2, those are our taxes that we would take in for the year. That's actually down 60,250 because we had to take out some transfer of service costs that we put in there of roughly $70,000. You'll see last year we had almost 4.7 million, so our tax revenue is going to be down 344,000. Item 3, other revenues, local sources, that's up $6,500. Those are basically all student fees, so that's up from version 1. We added in about $6,500. We didn't have field trip revenue in that we take in to just offset costs of busing. Item 4, payments for services. That is our open enrollment in income. So we have forecasted 916,000 of open enrollment in money, which is up from last year. It's up $37,000 from 2 weeks ago. So the count that we had, it would have been the second week of September to our actual third Friday count last week. It's up 37,000. Item 4, that did not change. That's our equalization aid, 6.3 million. And then item 5, our other revenue. That has a huge increase from last year. That's the per pupil aid, which last year was $450 per pupil. This year it's $654. There's also a teach grant in there for IT needs, and then our Department of Justice safety grant is in there as well, which is obviously money we didn't have last year. So that's kind of an increase from last year. And then item 6, our state revenue is up $60,000 from the last version. The next page, item 7, DPI special project grants. That is up $14,400. We looked at the WISE grants and just pulled updated revenue numbers on what we can expect for some general fund state aid, or state grants, I should say. Item 8, that's that Medicaid money that we get in. We get it in two places. We actually get multiple checks throughout the year. Some go into Fund 27, some go into Fund 10, because the Fund 10 money is for previous fiscal years. The money that we get towards Fund 27 is for claims we make during the fiscal year. And that's gradually gone up as special ed aid has gone up. So we adjusted that number up to be in line with where we have been previously. Item 9, subtotal for federal sources, that is up $31,000 from the last report. Item 10, that compensation fixed assets, that's just small things that we might be selling as a district. In version 1 it was $2,000. We've actually already sold $4,000 worth of stuff. Joel sold some old stuff that was in storage, so we upped that up to $6,000 just because we believe we're going to end up getting rid of some other storage items.
Keep selling stuff in storage. You want it, it'll be on for sale.
Item 11, so that's our total revenues and other financing sources. We have budgeted $12,923,000. Overall, that's up almost $80,000 from our first version. It is down $58,000 from our actual for 17-18. So our total revenues are budgeted to go down a little bit compared to last year. Item 12, those are instruction costs. That is basically steady from last time. Item 13, that's also basically steady. It's actually up $58,000. We went through, I updated the insurance census. We had one teacher jump from a single plan to a family plan. There's some wage increases in there as well. So that's up from the first version. Item 14, that is our transfer from the general fund to cover special ed costs. That is actually down $10,000 in transfer money because we've utilized our flow through and early childhood grants. Item 15, that is our open enrollment out along with any voucher costs we have. So there's a significant jump there. From last year, the jump from the first version, it's only up $10,000. I think we've had more special ed students go out this year, so that's part of the reason it's gone up. Item 16, that'll be our total expenditures and other financing usages for Fund 10 only. We have budgeted $12,972,000. That total is up $55,000 from version 1. We're actually budgeting $90,410 less in spending this year from the general fund. And I noted last time that includes the increases we had in CPI for raised increases and dental and health insurance increases. The next page, that's where you'll see the Fund 27 or special ed expenses and revenue. Item 17, that's again the transfer from Fund 10, so we are budgeting $1.1 million being covered by special education, or by the general fund. Item 18, $377,000, that is special ed aid that we get from the state. There is no change from the first version. Item 19, $293,652, that's how much we plan to take of our flow-through grant money and our early childhood grant money. Every year, depending on our usage, we have carryover, and we can choose to grab that money now to lower the Fund 10 amount to cover special ed costs. That's up $13,000 from the first version, and it's up $16,000 from last year. So we're going to use a little bit more of our grant money to fund special ed. Item 20, that's the Fund 27 portion of Medicaid. We added $15,000 in there because historically we've been trending upward. You'll see we took in $83,000 this past fiscal year. 4 years ago, that was 51,000. So the more money we put into special ed costs, we've been able to claim more, we've gotten more money back in because of it. So that 80,000 is more in line with the last couple of years. The next page, item 21, that's where you'll see the total special ed revenues, $1,941,000. That's $21,000 more than we had in the first version, and that is because we have utilized some of the grant money that we have. Down at the bottom, the item 22, and this is where we get into debt service. Before we get to that, the items above, the special ed expenses, we really didn't change any of that outside of the raises for some of those paras that you guys are going to discuss later. But item 22, that $772,928, that is going to be the fund balance at the end of the fiscal year. That's the money that's going to sit there to make the payment towards the referendum debt next September, I believe. That's money we have to have sitting there before the next budget. And then the final page. Nothing on that last page changed.
So Ryan, you said one thing, and I think that, so this budget is more detailed than what goes in the paper.
Right.
So this is just for the board. And we decided when we talked, Ryan and I, that we thought there were enough changes in there that we thought it was good to bring it back. So the preliminary budget, it really still is preliminary actually, so it's as close to final as you're gonna get. So it's approve the budget, again, before it goes in the newspaper. So there's a document that is actually in the resolution that is more succinct even, there's not as much detail, because everything just rolls up. So this is DPI reporting, this is how it's supposed to go out to the public.
As far as I know, the only thing we're really waiting on is the DPI numbers to fill in. We have all the hiring costs, all the insurance costs, everything that we know of has been vetted out and talked about. It's just a matter of getting that equalization value in there. The head count will populate that in there, but we've been on top of open enrollment and the head count.
You know, we had talked about strategic planning in the past, and I'm sure hope we continue. I thought we had 2 bids. I'm hoping we get another bid, and I still think that if at all possible, we could put some
Sure.
for that.
We do have a dollar amount being carried for strategic planning.
I mean, just the position that we're in, it makes sense.
We've got it, we've funds earmarked this year for strategic planning. So
Okay.
we've got a district core team. I met with them. They're just an informal leadership group that would just to get more voices. And I shared with them kind of the options for strategic planning. And there is a conference in Menominee Falls that we get to go see firsthand what the student group is all about. Then I'm going to have Joe come in and talk. He's another option for strategic planning. And Oconomowoc is actually having come in, Joe Schrader from OSA, lead a community listening session October 18th. So planning on getting people to both of these things, seeing how they go. And I'd like the district core team to come share with you. This is our work. These are our adult learning frameworks for the school year. These are our 3 main goals that we have. And we vetted out some strategic planning stuff, and this is what we would recommend. So that's what my goal is, as a FYI. So I have not lost the target whatsoever. We just get the school year up and running, get this budget good, and that's coming. So that's a great topic for this winter and spring.
I just want to make sure we're budgeting.
Yep, and we're budgeting for it too, okay? Good.
And then, I know, to touch base on what Scott talked about with Bear, we're going December 14th as our model. The reason their numbers are so different is because they're taking the history and forecasting out, and it's hard to forecast our enrollment and stuff. So they'll have, they take 3 fiscal years, we'll give them this year's budget, and then they'll have more accurate numbers, so we'll know like early January kind of where things are, and then we can start plugging in the effect of that TID or looking at the mill rate.
Anything more for Ryan? Thanks, Ryan.
Yep.
Principals report. Becky.
Lots of things happening at Park and actually. This last Friday, the kids got to see some of the fruition of their fun run money. the PTA came to our Cardinal Way Assembly and got to share with the kids some of the things that there was purchased with the money the kids raised. We got a great big outdoor shed now to keep all of our new balls and new jump ropes, footballs, all of those things were added to the things that kids have an option to play with on the playground. So thanks to the PTA and that fun run money, it's good to have, let the kids see something tangible that came from those funds that they raised. Safety Week was a success a couple of weeks ago. We practiced everything from lockdowns, administrative holds, fire drills, tornado drills, and we practiced bus safety as well with the Parkview kids, so that went very well. We have some money from a safety grant that we were awarded late this summer. Parkview is going to be getting a new sound system, so we met with the sound system people. If you've ever seen what Parkview currently has, it is a great big machine that you literally have to go up to and hold buttons and to make an announcement. The new system will allow us to be able to make any announcements necessary from any phone in the building versus having to be locked into that one particular device only located in the office. So that is in the works. We also have part of the, I think it was the safety grant, or was it part of the safety grant? We did have some new film put on our front windows and our entrance as a, I guess it's a slowdown, it's a deterrent more than anything else if there were to be an individual who would come into the building and be unsafe and would be trying to access the building. We have some ways to slow them down with that film. We've got parent-teacher conferences coming up. Next week is our first round of conferences with the kindergarten families. The kindergarten teachers like to meet with those families sooner rather than later, so conferences will start next week for Parkview. Our Read Dogs started today, so over the last few years we have had the Read Dogs come in and read with 2 learners from each grade level, from each classroom throughout a morning. So they started today, so it's fun to see the dogs and their handlers with us at Parkview again. And we've been working with Chief Marks, and we'll be having some fire safety events. We'll be walking over to the fire department here in about a week and get some fire safety reminders from the Mayville Fire Department. That's what I've got.
Thanks. Becky? Bob?
Yes, last week our middle school students and staff participated in homecoming activities, specifically the dress-up days on each day as identified by the high school student council. At the middle school, safety grant is also going to allow for an upgrade in our PA system. Like Parkview, we can only make an announcement from the council in the office, and we would want to make an announcement in an emergency situation from any phone, because the office may not be available to make that announcement. Also, film applied to one of our front doors in the front foyer, so that all of our doors at the entrance there has either the film or wired glass, so it does slow down entry. And also student council has been active in organizing the middle school homecoming events last week. Also our safety patrol is active and up and running, so we have students in 5th grade who are out with Tom Kemp at the intersection there helping students cross at the beginning and end of the day. And also we have a leadership group of students led by Melissa Schneider and Grace Winter, our new school guidance counselor, who will take a number of our 7th and 8th graders down to an event in the Common Walk to help develop leadership skills, which hopefully they'll bring back and do good things in our building at the middle school.
Thanks, Bob. Lee?
Okay, bring up to speed with a few things at the high school. Mr. Sable, I and Dave Seiler had an opportunity to meet with one of our local manufacturing partners today to kind of reestablish some ideas and partnerships moving forward. And after that, a vendor who we are looking at for possible robotics. And John, you may hear this term, a PLC, programmable logic controller. There's some new stuff out there that we weren't even aware of, and it's kind of changing with the times. So he came up and took a look at our building. So Dave, I, and Scott have started those conversations, and it was timely because October is manufacturing month. This is the time in which we get kids out to make visits to local manufacturers in Dodge County. So our kids from Mayville will be heading over to John Deere, the EK Machine and Enerpac, which are in Columbus and Fall River. And those dates are on the 9th, 16th, and 23rd countywide. The Mayville kids are going on the 23rd. And you may ask, well, why aren't we going to local businesses? We're able to, with our relationships, in addition to taking advantage of the countywide tours, our local partners still let us come in. So instead of wasting one of our tour dates and trips on a local, we can get out in the county and we'll still hit our local manufacturers in town at a later date in October or November, so they've been real good to work with. So Dave has set all that up. Kids are looking excited. Our goal is to get 100 kids out on those tours, trying to shoot for about a quarter of the building. This Thursday, Kate Egan from Bray will be meeting with a couple of our staff members from our leadership team, as well as some students from student organizations, and start talking about the spaces in the building. In terms of designing, we have a lot of empty white space or maybe single color space down hallways, and if you remember, there used to be a fair amount of student artwork up, so we're going to start looking at the design possibilities, as well as looking at our front lobby for trophy cases, where we put a lot of things that used to be in the old building to kind of keep that flair, and we want the student and teacher input. That will be this Thursday. Last week we had a really wonderful homecoming week. I can't thank our students and staff enough. We had a really lot of fun and successful week. Last Thursday night, we announced the King and the Queen, and then we had our bonfire. Friday, we had our pep assembly, the chili supper by the baseball team, and then the football team got a win on Friday night, which made them playoff eligible, which is 2 years in a row now, so we're pretty excited about that. They'll finish up with 2 more games. Had about 279 kids at the dance on Saturday, which was real great. It's really interesting, and I'll mention this when I talk about our safety drills. There's a lot of new space in that building, and we're pretty excited about it. So when you have student events with large numbers, you get to see how the building's going to react to new traffic patterns and things like that. So that was a lot of fun. I want to thank our chaperones who came that night: Ms. Gates, Mr. Siegert, Mr. Schultz, Mr. Brownlow, Ms. Pasick, Ms. Schecker, Mr. Nendigan, myself, and Sarah Golder. We had a good time with the kids that evening. And homecoming doesn't happen without a lot of help, so I'm just going to quickly acknowledge so you guys know who we rely on. Our EMS, our local police, fire department helping out with parade and activities and bonfires, our DCERT crew during the parade. We also got some help from Findorf because we were concerned about how hot it was going to be down in that new space for the dance. So the day before, they hooked up and cut some holes in plywood doors and got fans moving cool air in and sucking hot air out, and it really helped out, as well as with the lighting. And then Bill Tide did an awesome job. Every time we needed something, Bill was around to either set up the bonfire or clean up afterwards, move chairs. So he and the crew up at the high school were wonderful to work with. October 16th, just to give you a heads up, is that we have started a parent engagement group with parents of special ed students, and October 16th will be our first meeting. So what we did at open house this year, we sent out a survey to parents of students with disabilities. Best day to meet, best time, what topics would you like covered? So October 16th at 3:30 is our first monthly parent engagement meeting. Tim Baroud, myself, and Renee Renderman will be presenting basically IEP 101 in the process of special ed. And our idea is that we're not going to meet more than an hour. We've got about 15 minutes for the topic of the night, kind of 15 to 20 minutes for questions from parents about special ed in our district, and then probably about another 15 minutes of just social time where parents can relax and get to know each other and get to know us. So that's planned for monthly times this year. Carrie Matheson, I will give her the credit, but we had a couple people to work on this. We finished our Title I report that is now submitted to the DPI. Our title grants for this week, which are Title II, which are the Fed monies that come to the state. Title II, Title III, and Title IV will be submitted this week, as well as our flow-through budget. And then Ryan can finalize it. He's already got those revenues, so we're covered. And as I said during our safety week, for drills such as shelter in place or severe weather, we picked up a lot of good room in our building with the elimination of the busport windows and things like that, in addition to redesigning some spaces. So I think we have a lot more room for that. The one issue that we'll continue to work with are sight lines with new classrooms that weren't there when safety plans were originally put into place. So staff and students did really well during safety week as well. So that's the high school. Thanks.
Thanks, Lee. Possible future action items. Unfinished business. New business, we have resolution 181977, approval of fiscal year support staff wages.
So moved.
Motion by Norm, second by
Second.
Jeff. Any, up to you.